Hey folks, Tom from the Jurassic Park Podcast here, and you are about to watch a spoiler interview with Kiersten Kelly, Sean Giambrone, and Paul-Mikel Williams for Jurassic World Chaos Theory Season 3. So the voices of Brooklynn, Darius, and Ben, we jump into a lot of interesting topics, and there's a lot of great discussion in this one, so I hope you enjoy. Cool. So I'm going to start with the most important question. So no pressure, but I think the answer to this is going to set the tone for this whole thing, okay? How did you react to seeing Smoothie for the first time?
I think we were all
That's my
very
reaction.
excited, honestly. I don't think there were any mixed feelings whatsoever, nothing negative. Like, as soon as we saw that little baby on screen, we were just immediately fell in love. Our hearts melted.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I almost had to get quiet to just take it all in. Didn't want to disrupt anything. It was beautiful.
right.
Beautiful moment.
I'm going to level with you. I'm not very much of an emotional person. I did cry, like, at that shot when he's just in Kenji's hand. I was like, oh my god.
It was so cute. It was so cool.
It was
That's
very
awesome.
good. So I'm gonna ask each of you a question individually because I feel like there's a lot of interesting stuff with each of your characters this season. So Paul-Mikel, I wanted to come to you first.
Yeah.
So I feel like all of us have got quite a connection with Darius at this point. Like Darius has been the poster boy, I would say, for a couple of seasons. So I'm interested for you. What was it like this season, kind of getting to explore the dynamic with Brooklynn when obviously Darius has his own feelings towards her as well, right? Was that an interesting kind of space to explore?
Yeah. This season in particular is very, I'm trying to find the right word here. This season is mysterious.
Yeah.
I think that's the best word to describe it. You know, from the jump at episode 1, there's already this tension, and the Nublar 5 do not get a break. That much is apparent. Literally, as soon as Brooklyn leaves, we're just immediately on the next plane, following right behind, and like we just don't. I feel like we don't get, especially Darius and really the entire group, we don't really get that much time to process what exactly is going on. You know, in this world where we're all growing up and we're like barely in our teens, very early 20s, where we're already figuring out how to be adults and just keep moving and keep pushing with whatever is happening and just having to go with the flow like that. That's probably why it's one of my favorite seasons, is because it's kind of just the entire group, Brooklyn included, navigating this new way of life, and never really getting a break, and kind of like we get to see that on screen. We get to see their reactions to how much stress they're being put in. We see that with Sammy and Yaz's relationship, especially with Smoothie and Kenji's relationship as they get closer. And Ben and Gia's relationship, which we now know exists. Yeah, I feel like it's really this season 3, and I haven't finished watching all of season 3 yet.
Okay.
But season 3s might be my favorite seasons across both shows, because each one has shown this spectacular like level of experience through each of our characters. And yeah, I feel like this one really sets the tone for like the rest of the series, and kind of like is a good postmarker for like the crazy moments where stuff really starts to like get out of hand. So
That's really cool. I really like your point about kind of that almost coming of age story as well, because despite the facial hair, I'm only 25, so I really relate to that. Like, I do think you're kind of just figuring out what's going on a lot of the time, right? So I think it does a really good job with that. Kiersten, obviously we can't talk around Brooklyn without talking to Brooklyn directly, right? So I feel like you get a really interesting arc in this season. And one of the things I really loved was that you have a direct antithesis in the form of Darby that I feel like really takes you to some interesting places. So I'm curious, what has that been like for you, kind of embracing that darker side almost?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed voicing this season in particular because Brooklyn kind of gets lost in this mission that she's on, and I think she then starts to realize that she has lost herself a little bit, and then you can see that internal battle because she still is trying to just be in the moment and do what she was determined to do, but then also she's battling a lot because she is unfortunately maybe hurting her friends a little bit, which was not her intention. So it was really interesting to record that, and I really enjoyed it because I could just go for it when it came to that dark side of her, and I was able to go 100% into that story. So yeah, I think that's probably why this season is a favorite of mine out of 1, 2, and 3. Just because it's just, there's so much color. There's so much color to her, and it's all coming to light in season 3. So yeah.
That's awesome. Were you surprised by just how far she went? Because I mean, for me, when we had I can never say it. I'm going to say Leonard, the Lystrosaurus, I think. That's his name that people gave him with Jurassic World Dominion. But I remember that scene with Darby where she nearly pushes him into the pen. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, that I think was a big moment for her internally with that battle that I was speaking of, because I think she realized in that moment what she was doing and how far she was going. I think it was she was way more self-aware in that moment, yet she still did it. I don't, it's interesting. It's surprising for sure how far she goes. But I think that it is really authentic to her story. And she has gone through so much, from everything that occurred in Camp Cretaceous to her losing a limb. And then now in this season, she's getting a prosthesis for the first time. And like Paul was saying, like never having a moment to stop and process so many things and everything that's going on with her friends and the stuff that she's trying to achieve as well. I think that it does make sense for her to really go in the deep end and to get pretty dark. So I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised at the same time, just because of the amount of things that she's been through.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I kind of feel like off the back of that, this is very much going to be an interview of peaks, because I've found some questions that are quite dark, quite serious, and then some light-hearted questions as well. So Sean, for you, I'm really going to build on something that Paul said, which is that Ben's girlfriend is actually real. So that in itself, I think, is important, right? I feel like a lot of the fandom were kind of questioning whether it was somebody else. I think I genuinely saw a theory that was he's getting catfished by Dodgson. That's what's happening. So there were some wild theories out there. So what was that like for you? And what was it like getting to act opposite Beatrice as well?
Oh, amazing. I was reading the theories too early on, and I was cracking me up. Very excited. In real life, I'm got my Duolingo streak with Italian. I've always, and for the longest time, and then it turned that they made it this Italian girlfriend. I was like, dreams are coming true on this show. And then I remember we did an ADR session, and they're playing it back, and it was her reveal, and I was like, hold on, that's her, and I couldn't believe it because there's this gorgeous character, very cool, and and then I hear the voice, and then they told me who it was, and it was just like, wow. I had to they had to play it back again because I was like, I couldn't pay attention. I was like, this is too cool. So yeah, I mean, this whole experience has been awesome. I mean, being 6 foot whatever, and then having an international girlfriend, and yeah, I don't know. I've been very excited by it. Yeah.
No,
To say the least,
awesome.
I guess.
Yeah,
I
I
forgot.
think so. Oh, go on.
No. I think I forgot another part. I forgot part of the question. I got lost in the whatever.
You're
So,
all
I'm
good.
sorry.
You were fine. You nailed it. I was going to say on the relatability, the idea that Ben can be out there and then somebody like Gio comes into his life just gives us all hope, I think. So
Yeah.
that's quite a nice thing to see, you know. So I think a really cool thing with this season as well is the fact that it runs so parallel to Jurassic World Dominion. I think for me, to an extent which I wasn't necessarily expecting. So Paul, I'm going to apologize because we are about to touch on the last 2 episodes, I imagine. So this is literally going to spoil the experience for you before you've got there. But I'm curious
All
for you
good.
guys, what is it like when you get to do something that's so closely connected to one of the films as well?
Well, I feel like that's what we all want, and I feel like Camp Cretaceous laid the groundwork for doing moments and stuff, but this, we're just going head in. It's kind of wild that I think it's going to make it exciting to watch back to back the projects, because it is so intertwined. I think we're finally doing we've always done stuff like this, but this is the grandest. It's so cool.
I think it's also too something that I hope the fans will enjoy, because there is such a community for Jurassic, and I think people really love to see the crossover between the animation and the live action. So to have it mirror each other so closely, I think is going to be really fun for viewers.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did you want to add anything, Paul, or are you just sat there like,
I mean,
I've got this experience to come?
They pretty much covered it. I mean, like Kiersten was saying, I think that the fans really appreciate Easter eggs for sure. Yeah. And even the tie-ins to the live action, and seeing it all intertwine is and letting the audience, connect the dots, oh, that's where that happened, and this goes over here. And I think that that's really something that, at least in my experience as a viewer of not just Camp Cretaceous and Chaos Theory, but of anything, it's so fun to to be immersed in the story like that, so I think that the fans will really like it and appreciate it.
I agree. I think that, speaking as a self-proclaimed dino nerd, I think that everybody is really going to enjoy how connected this is. So I did want to ask you guys, do you have a favorite scene from this season? I don't know if anyone wants to go first on that one.
I kind of want to go first.
Yeah,
Go for it.
I think okay, so I haven't been able to watch all of season 3, but so far the first episode has been my favorite. Mainly because of 2 scenes. One was when and it was kind of mean, but one was when Kenji and Darius come back out of the cockpit on the plane, and then they start kind of semi-arguing to each other, and then Ben is trying to butt in, and they're like, Ben, shut up. And I was like, I started laughing so hard because I was like, jeez, oh my gosh, this is brutal. But I just really like the fluidity of the animation on that part, and I could tell that once we got further into Chaos Theory, we had a little bit more of an understanding of our characters, and so I love that what was recorded was as accurate of a scene as possible. There was a lot of stumbling around in the words and stuttering, and I felt so, like I said before, I felt so immersed in the story because it felt so real to me to watch that. Also, the flying around on the plane when the plane was going down was crazy. That was some amazing, fantastic animation. Shout out to the animators. That was wild. And then especially the part where they're talking about Brooklyn once the plane crash lands at the end, and then the bay doors open, and they're talking about Brooklyn and what their next move should be. And I think that part in particular, and seeing everybody's perspective on their situation, everybody's unique, different perspective, especially Sammy's as well in that scene where she's still on the fence about Brooklyn, and she doesn't want to entirely speak her mind about it, because she still wants to be like the glue in the nice person in the group that keeps everybody together, but she's kind of like that's waning a little bit. So I just really like the tension that's in the first episode.
Yeah, no, I think that's cool. Kiersten, Sean, did you guys have a favorite scene?
I just love the whole season, so that's such a difficult question for me. There's so many amazing moments. There's a lot of comedic moments that I really enjoy. There is a scene, I forget which episode it is, but they're talking about Sammy and Yaz's breakup, and Kenji just pops out from the back seat with Smoothie and just starts like singing and trying to change the subject, and I just feel like the timing and perfect, just perfect. I thought that was really funny when I saw that. I think Dern did a great job on that moment, so I think that was really funny. But overall, I don't know, I truly love the entire season. It's so good.
I would agree with that. I almost don't want to shine the spotlight on this, but that Kenji moment made me laugh so much that for this season I did a rhyme review of it, because I was like, this little rhyme, I've got to build on it. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's funny.
Sean, what about you?
Well, I actually, it was cool. I went in and listened to the sound mixing of that episode. And so it was cool to see, I enjoyed to see them nudging the timing and all that, and then and then it was also the suspenseful moment that's right after that was really cool to see, the dinosaur sound, it was kind of seeing a different level of it that I thought was really cool. But I also really liked the dinosaur action at the end, the last episode. There was some cool power play things going on that I really liked.
I thought there was a really interesting dynamic in that. I'm conscious that we're running close to time at this point, so there is a question that I wanted to make sure I asked you guys, because I feel like you've touched on it a little bit throughout, but really this is a show that focuses on some quite thought-provoking emotional themes, I'd say, and particularly with this season I feel like we look a lot at friendships, but also how much do you sacrifice in a friendship? Where do you draw that line, and what does that kind of mutual relationship work like? So I did warn you that we were going to do peeps and there'd be deep questions, just putting it out there. So what
we're here for it, honestly.
Yeah. So I was going to ask, why do you think that works so well in a show like this? Because I don't think people would traditionally think that you'd tackle those kinds of themes in an animated show, but you do, and it works really well.
I would say that one of the reasons that it works is because the audience has grown with the show, because it started with Camp Cretaceous. And I think that as you get older, you start to learn how to navigate relationships, and you're seeing that in these characters as they also get older. And so I think that is one of the reasons that it does work so well, because it translates to everyday life when it comes to relationships. I think the storytelling is beautiful, and I think the writers did truly an amazing job at covering all of these different topics so sensitively, but very upfront. There was they were very honest about it in their writing. And I think that really shines through in this season. And I just think a lot of people can relate to those things.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I'll go. Yeah, I think I kind of want to piggyback off of what Kiersten was saying about the relatability. I think why we're able to do, why the writers are able to do the things that they're able to do, is because not many people like really look at it and realize it, but I think the relatability also comes from the age that the age demographic that this show is. Back in Camp Cretaceous, one of my favorite things was in season 4 when they're talking about Yaz's post-traumatic stress and that she's having these nightmares about dinosaurs. It's getting tied into her mom and all of these things. And I felt like that was really, really important because like Kiersten said, the relatability of it. And not everybody realizes that, you know, kids are capable of going through these things and having this like trauma or now in season 3 of Chaos Theory, having this tension with your friends and not having an agreement, but also kind of being in a situation where you don't really have the option to have an opinion on the matter because you can't really, there's no room for separation in space right now. Like there's nowhere where you can sit down and be alone with your thoughts because they're constantly having to move around and handle business and make moral decisions that, you know, everybody might not agree with, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like a general consensus situation here where it's kind of like we kind of just have to go with whatever is going to be the most altruistic like way of work. And that's real. I think that's why people like it so much, not because it's just a Jurassic show with amazing visuals and dinosaurs, but also because it's something that people can understand, and it's something that people can look at and be like, wow, this was just happening to me last week, or this was not exactly in the same circumstances, but like it's just real. It's real. And I think that's why people like it so much.
Yeah, I agree with them. I feel like it's a cool opportunity to have a show that can handle trauma while also just being such a fun show because like dinosaurs can be replaced with any situation. Like it's just like it's like, oh, I felt distressed as if a dinosaur was chasing me. We're just watching the dinosaur chasing me version, but it's like that feeling that affects the relationships and all that is the same. So I think it's cool because Jurassic, it lends itself to a TV show so well because of that the movies don't have an opportunity to touch on how it's affecting the people as much because they're not given as much time. So I think it's just a perfect companion to the movies because it doesn't feel like it's like repeating the same notion. It's kind of like building something up to make them both stronger. They're both like seem pretty necessary to make this kind of like big weave of a cool thing that shows people like in stressful situations and relationships that are being stressed on and how the human condition or whatever the heck grows and changes with each other. It's just it's like a really awesome opportunity that I think the writers are really just like fleshing out and just exploring. So I love watching the show for just to see what they come up with too with that.
I think it's really cool because just to add to what Sean was saying, I feel like a universe is being created because you have the live action and then you have the TV show and being able to touch on certain things that make each different, but also connect the two gives you the ability to cover, you know, different emotional arcs and, you know, traumas and growth and gray lines and action and fun and comedy. I think it's really, really cool because you're able to touch on so much because everything is intertwined.
Yeah, I think hearing all three of you talk about that then was really interesting because I think I mentioned it when we reviewed the season where Yaz went through her PTSD, but I actually used to work for a mental health charity. So I think seeing that kind of normalization at an early age is so important. And it really feels like the show does a good job of actually encouraging young people to really think about that. So it's interesting hearing all of you kind of reflect that back in its own way as well. I am gonna get off of the heavy subject matter now and end with a couple of fun quick fire questions. So we'll see how we do. We'll see how many of these we get through. My first question, Pyroraptor or Atrociraptor?
Pyroraptor. I like the feathers.
Same for me. Same.
Okay. Cool. Carnotaurus or Allosaurus?
Carnotaurus.
I'm gonna go with Allosaurus.
I think I might go with Allosaurus as well, actually.
There we go. You're on your own on that one, Sean.
I'm sticking with it.
And then Dodgson or Soyana Santos?
I like Santos's vibe. I'm not gonna lie. She's very calm, cool.
I mean, Santos, because I just enjoyed all the different scenes and moments that I got to have in the season. So I don't know. I might be just biased then. So
I'm gonna say Dodgson because he's Ben's secret admirer potentially.
Have we just canonized that in this interview? Is that a thing now? Oh boy. And then lastly, I feel like this is a nice one to end on because you can imagine you're going on holiday, right? So Malta or Italy?
Italy.
Okay.
I love
haven't been to
Italy.
either. I feel like Malta would be kind of hot. I think I would go with Italy.
That's tough. I like Malta looks beautiful. I've been learning Italian, but no, you know what? I'll say Malta just to because I don't want I might be in my head studying Italian in Italy, so let's go Malta for the full vacay thing.
Gia is going to be heartbroken.
It's not. Oh, yo!
Amazing. Well, I think that is about our time, guys. But thank you so much. I'm really grateful that I got to do this, and it's been really nice getting to sit and chat to you, the three of you, for a little bit.
Thank you so much. This was such a great conversation. Thank you.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.